come to order. Before we pause for a moment of silence, I believe Councilman Coker would like to make a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we take a moment of silence, I'd ask everyone to think about the Rudy family and the sudden death of Mallory Rudy, or Mal Rudy. She was only 33 years old and died suddenly. She was a volunteer firefighter at Chestnut Ridge and also at the Pikesville Volunteer Fire Company. And so it's really sad for the Rudy family and for the volunteer firefighter community. So if you all would join me in thinking about Mallory and her family, I'd appreciate it.
All right, we'll now pause for a moment of silence. Okay, thank you very much. I'll now call upon Councilman Quirk, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, and I have the flag right behind me.
All righty. Pledge allegiance to the
Yes,
flag
The United States of America,
America,
Republic,
and to the republic
stands
one
which
nation,
stands
under
one
God,
nation,
indivisible,
under God,
with liberty and
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilman Quirk. Is there a motion to approve the journal for the meeting of September the 7th?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it, the journal is approved. Enrollment of bills. Bills 76-21, 79-21, 80-21, and 81-21 were passed by the council, signed by the executive, and hereby enrolled. Mr. Secretary, you will now read all bills for introduction.
Mr. Chairman, there's one bill for introduction this evening, Bill 8521, sponsored by Councilman Quirk, zoning regulations, uses permitted in the manufacturing light zone.
Okay, thank you very much. The council will now consider all fiscal matters. Extensive testimony was taken at the council's work session on September the 14th. The witnesses who testified at the work session are available to restate their testimony if needed. If a council member has any questions regarding a particular fiscal matter, that item will be discussed at a separate matter. I'll now call upon the secretary to read the cover letter for fiscal matters 1 through 6.
Mr. Chairman, fiscal matter 1 is a contract with KLNB LLC for advisory consulting services on an as-needed basis for real estate transactions. Fiscal matter 2 is a contract with Accent Specialist Marine LLC on-call snow and de-icing services. Fiscal matter 3 is amendment number 2 to a contract with Tito Contractors Incorporated for general labor services. Fiscal matter 4 is a contract with Aviation Specialties Unlimited Incorporated for specialized inspection services. Fiscal matter 5 is 3 contracts for on-call property title abstracting services, and fiscal matter 6 is 4 contracts for lead remediation services.
Are there any questions by any of the members? Yes, Councilwoman Bevy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can we go back to, is it the KLNB contract?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Their contract is for what? For real estate?
It is for advisory / consulting services as needed for real estate transactions.
That's not a conflict. Don't they have business all over the county? Don't they lease properties all over Baltimore County? Is that the same outfit, or am I mistaken?
It is.
It is?
It is. I mean,
That's
I
not a
would like the administration to, let me see, who do we have? Who do we have here,
Deb
Ms.
Schindel.
Rogers?
It should be Ms. Schindel is
Yes,
here.
sir, I'm here.
Deb?
This is a, yes, ma'am. This is a contract that, that we actually are utilizing. And it was a competitive bid with the city of Salisbury. as you probably already know, we in the county have in the past used many different realtors to lease or find lease properties. And so we really wanted to put something in place that was competitively bid. And we utilized an existing contract because this is pretty much, we kind of investigated what other municipalities were doing and, you know, how they went about finding property. And this was one of the best practices, and that's why we chose to go this route.
Will they exclude themselves? I'm just saying,
So-
they have, I mean, they are all over the county. David, don't you have, a lot of property with them? I know I do, I think.
So I'm not really sure what you mean. Like, they're going to help us find property. So so basically, obviously, you all know what a realtor does. And so when we need property, for instance, let's talk about the Wilkins Police Station.
Okay,
They have a master list of all properties, and they're very, like every realtor, is very
Okay.
connected. So realtors talk to realtors.
mhm,
And so what we plan to do is reach out to them and say, okay, can you tell us everything that is available in this catchment area for sale with this acreage? And what they will help us do is identify possible, working with real estate compliance. So I want to be very clear about that. Real estate compliance is still going to be involved in every transaction we have, and we'll handle the transaction. We are just asking help from a realtor company to help us as a resource to identify properties that maybe we're not aware of currently. And so that is the purpose of this. And or if there are times when, for instance, we've needed to lease property, yes, we still go to real estate compliance. We start knocking on doors, we ride
Mhm.
around, we're still doing all that. But we also need someone, a company that can help us reach out to other companies and identify quickly what tasks and buildings we may need. And like for COVID testing, it was like, hurry up, find something. Can we get what's on the market? What can we find? It's just a tool in the tool belt to help us find property. The county will indeed handle the transaction of that property in-house.
okay, thank you for that
I hope
explanation.
that kind of clarifies.
It did, thank.
Does that make sense, Councilwoman?
It does. I just must not have a clear understanding of the work that they do. I know that they're realtors, and I see their signs all over the place, like for shopping centers, and, you know, they're trying to get clients there.
Sure.
Wouldn't they be working on behalf of, could they ever be working on behalf of themselves?
So I would imagine any
Go ahead.
any realtor realistically could, as you're trying to point out, maybe they would be showing not only properties that they may manage, but other realtors' properties, yes.
Okay, that's,
But remember, the transaction for that final goes through law and it goes through real estate compliance.
okay,
And so they're not handling the final kind of thing. All they're doing is helping us identify properties that are available.
okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. I appreciate it.
The only thing I would add is anyone in this business are going to have properties listed already themselves anyway. You
Okay,
know what I mean? Like whoever's in real estate, they're not going to, you know, other than the people we pay that work for us, everybody else is working for whoever they can. Because I'm sure we're not paying them enough. Is there another question, Council? I mean, Mr. Boswick, or was that?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
so we use these piggyback contracts an awful lot, it seems. We're piggybacking on contracts with Montgomery County or Anne Arundel County. This one's with Salisbury. How exactly do we go about piggybacking on other contracts? Can you just clarify that process and why we are doing that?
Absolutely. So I can really pertain to this particular contract. We went to purchasing and we had been talking to real estate compliance and we had been talking to purchasing, and we kind of wanted to know the best practices for other municipalities. And so purchasing started looking at their cooperative agreements. They kind of reach out to other municipalities. Hey, how have you done it? How do you handle these transactions when you're trying to find another resource? And so purchasing reached out to a cooperative group and collaboratively found this particular contract that basically met the county's needs. And so since it was already competitively bid and other municipalities had done it the same way, I do believe that's why they recommended for us to utilize this contract, because it seemed fair, reasonable, and that this vendor was very local and seemed to be, you know, reasonable within its standards.
Yeah, I guess the point, and I don't want to speak for Councilwoman Bevins, but a question comes to my mind too. There's probably other companies that could be doing the same thing. But I certainly understand the logic of piggybacking. I'm going to vote for this, but you know, it just seems like this is a service that others also provide.
I'm not
Mr.
saying
Chairman,
oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, may I be acknowledged?
Yes,
I'd like to
yes,
address
Ms.
the
Hodge.
cooperative agreement strategy. Councilmember Marks, I do understand your point. But the cooperative agreement relationship brings about a couple benefits, and when it is released, the efficiency study that we just completed with Public Works LLC, the national contractor who is identifying ways for us to be more efficient, recommended that we look at utilizing cooperative agreements whenever possible for a couple reasons. Number one, that the competitive process has indeed taken place. So a competitive bid was completed. The second piece is often we can get a much more competitive price. And then secondly, it does reduce some of the turnaround time when we need to identify a service or service provider quickly. But the narrative around the use of cooperative agreements within municipal government is one that is a best practice. I know when we're at the federal level, government agencies across the federal space were asked to look for opportunities to leverage sometimes a more competitive price if multiple units were seeking the same kind of product. So that's kind of the strategy, but that section in Public Works LLC's recommendations to us does support the use of cooperative agreements in terms of an efficiency.
Yeah, look, and this administration's been very efficient in acquiring land. And also, you know, I also recognize we are in a competition with developers often for pieces of land. I'm going to support this. Those were just some questions that I had, and I appreciate your thoughtful responses. Both of you, thank you.
You're welcome. Quite welcome, sir.
Councilwoman Bevins, are you okay with voting with this item with the other fiscal matters, or would you like me to separate?
Yes, I don't have a problem. I was having a hard time understanding the concept. That's all. But I got it now.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
There any additional questions on the fiscal matters 1 through 6? Is there a motion to approve fiscal matters 1 through 6?
I move them.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on fiscal matters 1 through 6.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Fiscal matters 1 through 6 are approved. We will now consider all miscellaneous business. Mr. Secretary, first item, please.
Mr. Chairman, whenever a contract over $25,000 is awarded by a process other than formal competitive bid, it is required that a copy of the contract be given to the county council and the nature and parties to the contract be announced by the secretary at the next legislative session following the award of the contract. One thing I wanted to bring to the council's attention, if I can just find all of my papers, is there was a contract that I read last week or 2 weeks ago related to and maybe Ms. Smelkinson can actually it was with Conwall. It was item 3 amongst all of the contracts that were read. Before we knew, and it was already read by me, I think the next day, purchasing actually removed that item from the agenda. So it was not read in error, but it turned out that contract with Conwall did not end up going forward. So I just wanted to make the council aware of that. And then I'll read the other two. The two that are on for this evening. The first contract is with Niche Vision Forensics LLC, software support with the police department, $40,400. And the other contract for this evening is with Innovative Interfaces Incorporated, software license through the library system, total award of $44,239.30. If any of the members have a question with the other contract that turned out not to be a contract or these two, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions by any of the members? Hearing none. Next item, Mr. Secretary.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Resolution 125-21, the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation easements.
Okay, Ms. Amy?
Good evening, Chairman and members of the council. I'm Amy Mantam, the Deputy Director for the Department of Planning. The Department of Planning recommends the approval of 12 applications and the ranking of same on a little over 1,000 acres by landowners to sell an easement to the Maryland Agricultural Land Preservation Foundation for the FY22 easement purchase cycle. 12 properties have 24 associated development rights that would be extinguished through the easements. Megan Benjamin, who manages this program for our department, is here, and she can provide a summary of the applications and ranking.
Okay,
Mr. Chair.
yes, Councilman Katz?
Yes, thank you very much. I just want to bring to everyone's attention that the county has a goal of preserving 80,000 acres by 2022. These purchases will raise the number of acres that we do have in preservation to around 69,000. So we have 11,000 acres to go. So I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that it's going to take a little longer for us to reach the goal. I think we'll certainly go beyond 2022.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any additional questions or comments? Is that the end of the presentation? Amy?
Megan Benjamin is here. She can kind of provide a quick summary of the applications that were submitted and the ranking.
And Ms. Megan Benjamin?
We can't hear you, Megan.
So the Baltimore County Land Preservation Agricultural Advisory Board reviewed each of the applications individually and ranked them based on a number of criteria. And the list of the applications, the farms that we're proposing to move forward to the state are provided in alphabetical order in the resolution.
Okay. Any questions by any of the members?
One quick question, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go right ahead, Councilman Patoka.
Ms. Benjamin, is it possible to summarize I know you've listed them, to summarize where we're focusing these easements?
So there's a map that's part of the resolution. All of the applications and these properties are within the designated ag priority preservation areas. And they're fairly well distributed throughout those areas. Of course, these applications come from willing applicants, so we did not get applications from within all of our approved areas. But we have a nice selection of diverse farming operations in these 12 applications.
Okay, thank you. I see, yeah, I see the map that's attached. I see a little bit of Glendon, but mostly in Northern County and Eastern County. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilman Cat.
Yeah, can you tell me, I understand from past years, there were some approvals of expenditures for properties in Baltimore County that have not taken place. Can you tell me how many there are and basically how many acres we're dealing with for the past appropriation?
So for the MALF program, we have still one property from the FY19 cycle that will be closing soon. And we have two that are closing imminently from the FY20 cycle. And then the FY21 cycle, which ran last year, the offers on 6 farms during that cycle were just made this spring. And so those will be working to completion over the next several months or year. So probably altogether be close to 1,000 acres with those that are still in the works.
So that'll take us up to 70,000
Yes.
acres. Great. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any additional questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve resolution 125-21?
Motion.
There a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on resolution 125-21.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Catch.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Resolution 125-21 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Resolution 129-21. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Marks and requests to amend the boundary of the Perry Hall Commercial Revitalization District.
Councilman Marks.
Thank you very much. As I mentioned at the work session, this makes a very minor adjustment to the Perry Hall Commercial Revitalization District to the east. The intention really is to make sure that we have design review panel evaluation of any development that occurs in that area. I have ran this by the Perry Hall Improvement Association and did not get any critical comments.
Thank you very much. Any questions, comments from the members? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve resolution 129-21?
I'll move it.
Second.
The movement seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on resolution 129-21.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins.
Aye.
Ayes have it, resolution 129-21 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next, Mr. Chairman, is Resolution 130-21. This resolution is sponsored by Councilman Quirk and authorizes the property tax refund to Marcela Casillas, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
I will move it.
I'll second it. The move and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on resolution 130-21.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall.
Aye.
Ayes have it, resolution 130-21 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 131-21, sponsored by Councilman Crandall. This resolution authorizes the property tax refund to Joseph Reinhardt Jr., who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
It's my honor to move the resolution.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Crandall,
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins,
Aye.
Mr. Marks,
Aye.
Mr. Catch,
Aye.
Mr. Patoka,
Aye.
Mr. Quirk.
Aye.
Ayes have it, resolution 131-21 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 132-21. This is a resolution for the council to consider the approval of the continuation of the state of emergency pursuant to the most recent executive order number 2021-022 for introduction only this evening.
Thank you. Next item.
That is the last of the miscellaneous business, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Any further business, Mr. Secretary?
There is no further business before the council, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a motion to adjourn or any statement from any of the members?
I'll move it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The meeting is adjourned. As is customary, anyone who wishes to speak and has registered in advance will have an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Ms. Valcastro, has anyone registered to speak?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have one registered speaker for this evening, Ms. Kim Beard, and I will call upon her now. Ms. Beard?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Ms. Hewitt. I'm the only speaker. Well, I am going to make your day. Hello. Thank you for having me, council members and community members that are listening. Let's talk about backyard chickens, huh? My name's Kim Beard, and I live in Lutherville with my husband and my 2 teenage daughters. I grew up in Reisterstown, where my father and sister and some family still live. Tonight, I represent the Backyard Chicken Caucus for Baltimore County. We're hoping to change the current law regarding keeping backyard chickens in the county, specifically eliminating the requirement for a minimum of 1 acre of land. Currently, the county zoning regulation requires a minimum of 1 acre of land to be able to keep and raise backyard chickens. Residents who do not own a lot that is 1 acre or more in size are required to navigate a lengthy, confusing, and expensive process to request a variance from the county zoning review office, nice people as they are. Unfortunately, the variance process is better suited to requesting variances related to construction and land development. There's also no guarantee that the request will be approved. We are advocating for the law to be reworked in a more equitable fashion that is based on common sense, scientific facts, and addresses the issue in a way that is constructive and designed to truly care about the welfare of both county residents and the chickens that are at the heart of the issue. Our mission is to seek and secure changes to the county code so that the requirement for a minimum of 1 acre of land is no longer a barrier, and that the county adopts common sense, factual, informed laws regarding the keeping and raising of backyard chickens. So as a mother of 2 teen daughters and a middle school PTA president, yes, you can say a little prayer for me later, I believe that learning about where your food comes from is priceless and harbors a healthy lifestyle. Raising chickens as pets gives us pride. It teaches us empathy. Chickens make great pets. They bring their owners a lot of joy. We name our chickens just like you would the family dog or cat. And chicken owners are great neighbors. They take care of their community and they care about their properties. The Backyard Chicken Caucus also seeks to provide education and resources to backyard chicken owners, as well as to other county residents that we call our neighbors. Currently, our petition that we started earlier in this year has 1,516 responses, although we only checked it last night. So we think it's still counting. So we ask you kindly that you change the 1 acre requirement. And if you have any questions, to please feel free to reach out to us. We've emailed our request, but you can always send us a question to, and I'll put it in the chat if it'll let me, info@backyardchickencaucus.com. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Beard.
Mr. Chair.
I thank you so much for your advocacy on this issue. I know that you guys have been around for a while, had conversations with you. I'm sure other members have had conversations with you. I personally think it's probably time that we do something because it's an issue that just doesn't go away. But on that issue, on that note, I will open it up to questions from the members. I'll start with Councilman Datoka, who I heard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Question for Ms. Beard. Do you know what other jurisdictions that they have, do they have lot size requirements for chickens?
Yes, sir. No, while I am not the expert as far as which jurisdictions and how much those lots are, I can tell you that in our neighbors here in Baltimore City, actually row homes can have a few hens. And in other counties in Maryland and across the country, it's very common that homeowners with less than an acre are eligible to have a few chickens.
Well, my next door neighbor has chickens and I must admit they do have personalities. We take care of them when they go on vacation. And there's a little chicken, her little hen, her name is Hey Hey. And the other two pick on her because she's smaller. And, we have to be careful because you don't want to get in between the two other hens when they start picking on Hey Hey, or you can be in danger yourself. But, I think it is, it seems to be something that's fairly reasonable, and be interested in seeing what other comparable jurisdictions are doing in terms of having any lot size requirements.
Yeah, Councilman Patoka, I can specifically send you that some documentation related to that exact matter. We can send that off to you all this evening.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Patoka, I do know that Montgomery County has regulations, and I know last time we looked at this issue, they came up with, they had made the move to allow chickens, no roosters, but the chicken, and less than, I forget what the number was, but it was certainly significantly less than an acre. I think it's like a quarter acre or even less. And as it relates to chicken bullying, maybe you can start a coalition, Councilman Datoka, against chicken bullying.
Stand up for Hey Hey.
Stand up for Hey Hey. Any questions or comments from the members? Councilwoman Bevan?
Chairman Jones, that is true. They do bully my daughter lives in Calvert County, and she currently has 10 chickens. And they're all named after the Friends characters and Lady Gaga and Pink. Lady Gaga is one of those crazy little white chickens with the poofy head and poofy legs, and they all pick on her. And I think it's because she looks different. I have only in the past been guarded with conversations about, I've been meeting with the chicken folks for a long time. But I've been guarded in some ways because of the rodent problem that we've had in the county, and that's the only thing that's really has stopped me from moving forward on this. So maybe we can come up with something if you know, if it's not in a rat eradication program, you know, because that just adds to the problem with the waste and it would draw the rodents. And of course, the rodents would hurt the chickens if they ever got them. So I think it is time we take a look at this. And maybe the requirement doesn't have to be an acre, and maybe it can't be a row home, but maybe we find a middle ground. So I'm open to a conversation about it.
That's good. And I'm glad to hear that, Councilwoman Bevan. Clearly, to be quite frank, I've always been sort of supportive, but I've been very respectful of your opinion. And, you know, it's important to me how you feel about it, because you have challenges in your community that I don't have in mine. So that's where you've been. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, I do know, you know, I felt bad about a gentleman around the corner from me. He had chickens for quite some time. He was giving all the neighbors eggs. Everybody thought it was great. One particular neighbor had an issue about something else, decided to call the county, and we came in doing our duty, and they didn't get rid of the chickens because he had 3/4 of them. 3/4 of them. But, you know, it's not a week or month that goes by that he don't remind me that he wants to have his chickens back.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'll give you one more thing I will say. This is a plug for Tractor Supply. They opened up a Tractor Supply store in my community. And it blew me away to walk in the Tractor Supply store and to see that I can buy these chickens and ducks, and I can buy these little babies for like $3 and $4. And I took my granddaughter in there. It was like their own little petting zoo. She couldn't touch them, but you know, there they were, all these little birds that we could actually buy. It was like amazing for a city.
But you got to know how to raise them too. You got to keep them warm. You got to keep them inside at first. There's a lot to knowing about raising chickens. They don't raise themselves.
Mr. Chair, that Tractor Supply store in your district, it's an economic development booster for Baltimore County, because that's a lot of Carroll County money that's being spent in Baltimore County.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, I won't get into that, but you're absolutely right.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
I spend enough over there too, by the way. Yes, Councilman Mark.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the comments that have been said. We've had this issue kind of bouncing back and forth, for 10 years.
Yeah.
And I think the advocates are extremely intelligent. They really do their homework. They come from all walks of life. They're Republicans, Democrats, Independents. And I would like to see us finally kind of put this issue to bed as well, and come up with a good compromise here.
Well, Ms. Beard, I don't think you can get a better reception than that. I'm counting at least 3 or 4 of us. So I guess what we'll do, we'll get together and come up with something, and we look forward to the information that you sent. I do know that the other thing is, I know in the past there may have been some hesitancy from Dr. Branch. So you might want to reach out to him and make sure he's up to speed. Now, of course, that was before COVID, so he may have bigger fish to fry. And before the article I read in today's paper about the opioid abuse, so he may have bigger fish to fry. So he may not be so concerned about chicken. And the most important thing is, we like to be deliberate to make the right decision the first time, but clearly, you know, if any of these issues become a problem, we change. We change the rule, change the law. Any additional questions or comments?
No.
All right. Guess that'll do it for this evening. Everybody, be safe, take care, Godspeed, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you.